I gotta Zoom with me someday.
Call this meeting to order for the Senate Special Committee on the Protection of Women's Sports. We have a number of members who are joining us online today. Senators, thank you for joining us. Senator Hickman, we see you. Senator Tillery, Senator Anavitarte, and Hatchett. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. As discussed at our previous meeting, we are going to focus today solely on our recommendations and findings. I want to thank the Senate office, formerly known as Senate Research. I think it's OPLA now, Office of Policy and Legislative Analysis. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? All right. I want to thank them for putting together a report that has been distributed to all of our members that highlights the meetings that we've had. We have had what one Senate staffer told me they think may be some of the most specific testimony in this committee, and some of the most balanced participation from both sides. Definitely want to thank activists from both sides of this issue that have provided commentary as well. It is very important that the public has access to the legislative process, and appreciate them, everyone that has participated in the multiple meetings that we have had. With that, I would like to highlight the recommendations. These were derived via consultation and commentary from members of this committee, and certainly am open to any adjustments or amendments in the discussion process. So the way that I'd like to do this, Senators, is I'll read through these recommendations. I will open the floor for discussion, and then I will entertain a motion. So with that, we have 5 recommendations that you'll see in front of you. The first recommendation is to repeal the delegation of the authority by the General Assembly to high school athletic associations to regulate participation in women's sports. This is an issue that should be decided by people's elected representatives. Number 2, provide protections in statute for the protection of women's sports in Georgia at the secondary and collegiate levels for public high schools, colleges, and universities, and private institutions that compete with and against public schools in sports. This should include rules that, based on the athlete's biological sex at birth, men cannot compete in sports designated for women. 3, require schools that host or sponsor sporting events to provide separate changing and dressing facilities for male and female athletes based on their biological sex at birth. 4, provide enforcement options for rules regarding women's sports participation and separate changing and dressing facilities, including grievance proceedings and civil remedies for aggrieved participants, and the authority to withhold state funding from schools who fail to abide by these rules. 5, adopt other rules as necessary to ensure that the regulation of sports is based on promoting and preserving competitive fairness and protecting student safety, and that female student athletes have fair opportunities to demonstrate their strength, skills, and athletic abilities, and to obtain recognition, accolades, college scholarships, and the numerous other long-term benefits that result from participating in and competing in sports. Are there any questions on any of those 5 from any of the members of the committee? All right, with that, I'd like to open up the floor for any discussion. Any feedback on any of these, any additions you would like to see, any subtractions that any member would like to see? Or just any general commentary on thoughts you have as a participating member of this committee on the overall topic. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to do that as well if you'd like.
Mr. Chairman, it's Blake. Tell you first, thank you for the time you put into this. I think that this committee overall, as you've already stated, listened to both sides. I tried to make recommendations that were fair and at the same time protecting of women who had, through the testimony, was obvious benefit from their participation in sports. Some of the things that we heard that were allowed to happen would be criminal, but for they happened in a sporting locker room. So I think these recommendations are fair and very reasonable given the topic and protect women overall and our athletic facilities. So thank you for your work on this committee.
Thank you, Chairman Tillery. Recognize Chairman Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, reviewing these, you've covered them well. I think no changes. I think we should adopt all of these recommendations. I think it's, imperative that we protect women's rights at the K through 12 level and the collegiate level, competing in sports and also in their changing rooms as well. So thank you for bringing this study committee forward.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll take Chairman's privilege and provide my own commentary here. This has been an interesting process. This has been an interesting topic to dive into. I recognize that there are passions on both sides of this issue and a genuine desire on both sides to move forward in a way that that respects everyone. I think it's indisputable. I know that it's indisputable. Actually, I'm not going to say I think. I know that it is indisputable that there are biological differences between men and women. Those biological differences result in men being able to jump higher, throw farther, run faster, swim faster, do a number of other things due to the increased bone density, larger heart capacity, larger lung capacity, larger heart, larger lung capacity, increased muscle mass that resulted in Title IX and the recognition that we needed to have a category that was carved out specific to women. And absent that, we would see men that would dominate as a whole most sporting competitions. We heard from female athletes who right here in Georgia participated in a swimming and diving competition. And we heard from the one that I remember the most is the young lady who stated that she finished 17th. And finishing 17th may not sound significant to most of us, but for the reality that the top 16 people in each of those events are All-Americans. And so she was not able to she does not carry the title of All-American, at least in that event today, because Leah Thomas participated in the in the women's swimming and diving competition at Georgia Tech. So I think that if we look at this through the lens of fairness, we land at the recommendations that we have today. On the flip side of that, we heard stories from the other side. I'll call it the trans community. And we heard stories that would cause all of us to have compassion and a desire, I would hope, to be respectful. And I hope that we found these hearings to be respectful. I hope that we can recognize that we can do two things at one time. We can both treat people respectfully, but we can also have an eye towards fairness in the legislative process. And that is what I hope to do as we move forward with this. And so with that, I will entertain any motions maybe before the committee. I recognize Chairman Dixon.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the study committee adopt all 5 recommendations unchanged.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
There's a motion from Chairman Dixon. I heard a second from, I believe it was Chairman Tillery. Is that correct, Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you again for joining us. I hope everyone has a happy holiday season. And before you know it, we'll be back in this building for the next biennial. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.